Here's Gilgeous-Alexander. McCollum staying with him. Spins, gets inside. Left-handed off the glass. Oh, what a sweet move.
Giddey, tough spot. Backdoor. What a pass. What a play. And J-Dub picks the pocket of Trae Young. He'll take it himself.
This is Dort. You're listening to the Uncontested.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Uncontested Weekly Show, part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and DailyThunder.com. I'm your host for the evening, JD Silva, joined by a couple of fellas. First one being a guy that loves the smell of that stuff they coat basketball courts with, Jacob Niffin.
What's up?
The other fella being Taylor Peterson.
Oh, man, I don't get a cool intro.
I couldn't think of any.
Mine wasn't cool, Taylor.
The conversations that go on before a podcast. One of these days, we'll give everybody a behind the scenes.
Yeah, we'll release.
I don't think we should do that. We'd lose everybody.
We'd get canceled.
You guys have.
But speaking of somebody
stuff?
Who didn't get canceled,
Oh my god! You guys have insane stuff in your Twitter drafts, also.
I have nothing in my Twitter drafts.
Really?
Yeah.
I just have like tweets that didn't go through, like from the podcast. Silva, your draft history is phenomenal. You sent it one time. You actually reached out, and it's very random. It's not like all Thunder stuff. The best part was you had like a Chiefs related one that you sent me the list. You're like, what do we think about this one? Just like, how do you even have this in your drafts?
Yeah, I don't know.
Silva's the best.
Before we get deeper into this crap hole that we're already down, if you're watching live on YouTube, please make sure to go hit that like button. Help out the algorithm. Help spread the truth of the Uncontested podcast. It'd be greatly appreciated. If you haven't already, make sure you sub to the YouTube channel. Also, if you are listening to the podcast version of this, thank you so much. Drop a 5-star rating and leave a review. You can follow us anywhere you download your podcasts at. I think that's the only plug I got, JD.
Yeah, and now we can get into some news before we talk about last night's game. It's news we all wondered if we would ever get, and we did get it by way of TMZ first, and then Woj via the Newport Beach Police Department. They came out with a press release regarding Josh Giddey, so I'll read that, and then we'll touch on it for a sec and move on. I'm sure everyone wants to move on from this in some way, even if the internet will not let us. The Newport Beach Police Department says, after a thorough and exhaustive examination, we have completed our investigation into information that was circulating on social media involving Josh Giddey. Our detectives have reviewed all the available info and were unable to corroborate any criminal activity related to Mr. Giddey. The Newport Beach Police Department is committed to ensuring that accurate information is disseminated to the public while also ensuring the rights of all those involved. So that's done. As far I don't know if we'll ever hear anything else about that. But you guys have thoughts on what we have so far.
When the Newport Beach Police Department announced that they were going to investigate, the league and Adam Silver specifically said that the league would take a back seat and let the police department conduct their investigation. The league wasn't going to investigate because the police were. So I don't think we're going to get anything from the league. If you ask me to bet a number, like a dollar amount, on will the Thunder or Josh Giddey say anything publicly, I would bet every penny that I have in my bank account, which isn't a lot, but it's all I got, that there will be no statement. They want this to be done with. I think they knew that this was coming. From other reporting that we've got, it sounds like they knew 2 years ago, whenever this incident supposedly happened. I'm glad that we have the answers. But like JD mentioned, even the people don't give a shit about the answers. They give a shit about the allegations. And for Thunder fans, more casual Thunder fans, who, and I don't say that as like a derogatory thing, like we're the degenerates here. Casual fans are the normal functioning human beings in society. We're the degenerates. But I just want everyone to know, like, if your hope is, hey, this has happened, we're not going to have to hear boos anymore for Josh Giddey. I worry that it's just going to get worse because they've brought it back to the public consciousness again. It doesn't matter that what the police found. It matters what the allegations were. Just go look at Woj's Twitter mentions. It's an absolute cesspool. I tweeted earlier today. I said there's downtown Chernobyl 10 days after the meltdown toxic. And then there's Woj's Twitter mentions right now toxic. And the Woj mentions are way more toxic than Chernobyl ever was. It is what it is. We have the information that was provided to us. That's what we have to go off of. I wish we could move on. That will not happen. But at least for the team, for Josh, for Thunder fans, we can kind of put it in the rearview mirror now.
I agree completely. And I think you both hit on the big thing that we actually all talked about as soon as the allegations came out, that regardless if they were accurate or not, that these were going to stick with Giddey for a while, because that's just the day and age that we live in, right? Social media is king. That's where people get their quote unquote news. And it's unfortunate. I think you go through those replies, Jacob, that we've seen all day. And it's all, I mean, look, it's an extremely serious, it's very serious allegations. Obviously an issue that need to be looked into, but people don't care if it was already looked into a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, whenever it was.
People don't want to believe that it was looked into now.
Exactly. It's unfortunately, when you look at those replies, the majority of them, I'm not saying everybody, but the majority of them have their favorite players are Abby, LeBron to GOAT, at LeBron to GOAT, and Tatum is king, whatever. I'm just throwing out random Twitter ads that I'm thinking of. But it's more entertaining for these NBA fans.
Yeah. If you're a fan of another team that doesn't like the Thunder and the trajectory that they're on,
if you don't like them, it's just more entertaining. Yeah. It's another storyline.
Would you rather have a reason to boo a guy or not?
Right. And that's the other thing. Even people, I mean, we're hearing these boos in the arenas, and less than half those people are on social media. They hear other people booing. It's fun. It's something to boo at. And so Josh is going to continue to get booed. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, I think it's just like, we have to think outside of social media. It's so hard to, we get so absorbed in it, especially in this NBA community that's been created by social media and particularly Twitter. But if we listen to social media, every single election in politics, I'm not pointing one out individually, but you would think a certain person, regardless of if it's left or right, that person's going to win. If you listen to social media and all the noise for the OKC Thunder arena vote, that arena vote was not going to pass, and it was terrible and awful, and it got passed in a landslide. So I think this is just another example.
It's an echo chamber.
That social media is not the real world, and eventually this too will pass, and it's really nice to get some closure.
God, Taylor getting biblical on us. This too shall pass.
This too shall pass from Taylor. I'll take that all day.
Can you get that in like
that's a sounder.
Can you get that in white woman font and put it on the wall behind you, please?
I'll do it like Michael Scott. I'm not sure who the first person was to quote that, but this too shall pass. Whoever originally came up with it.
Christ.
Taylor Peterson.
If you're wondering when will the booing stop, I would think about circling like the beginning of the 24-25 season. Like maybe then you can have some hope.
You're going to hear someone booing for a while just because we're like they're just cavemen out in public wandering around. Not much critical thinking going on whatsoever. It's the
bunch of sheep.
It's the old SpongeBob episode of Squidward sticks out his hand from behind the curtain, people boo. SpongeBob sticks his hands out from behind the curtain, people cheer. We're gonna have that dynamic for a while.
I saw that episode.
Oh, I did. That's a phenomenal analogy there.
Thank you, Taylor.
I love how Silva's brain works.
We are quoting Christ and SpongeBob in the first.
The two great philosophers of our time.
Similar. Well, I'm not going to go down that road. The Thunder played a basketball game yesterday.
Does that make Satan plankton?
Or Mr. Krabs?
No.
Think about that. Anyway, Thunder played a basketball game. Are we done with that? Any other words on Josh Giddey?
Mr. Krabs is one of the 7 sins of greed.
Right. Yes. Yeah. There's some. Yeah.
Plankton
His daughter
is envy.
Peach, gluttony.
Yeah. You say his
There's a
daughter
thing there.
is her name Peach? Pearl.
It might not
Pearl.
be Peach.
Pearl.
Pearl.
The big-
Have
yeah,
I
the
ever watched
whale.
the show?
What about Sandy Cheeks?
Can't say that on the
Ooh.
podcast.
I'm just glad to have some closure to this. Again,
Yeah.
he gets booed. So what? I think ultimately, a year from now, we're probably not even talking about it, and it's just a small blurb on his Wikipedia someday.
Maybe he can, move on from this in some way. And
Yeah.
and the woman involved who was doxxed from
Right.
someone coming in, that should be remembered first and foremost. That someone who it seems like didn't want to be brought in the situation was, and she was put on blast.
This is all started
along
by
with
like a
Josh
third
Giddey.
party, right?
Right? From what we understand, yeah.
So
So
just
those are the victims
bad
of
all
the
around.
situation. Hopefully they can move on, even if social media won't. But on to the basketball game from yesterday. That I did not stay up to watch the entire thing, but I caught up the next day. Did you guys both stay up and watch the whole thing?
oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Two
yeah.
straight nights.
Living in misery, baby.
Yeah.
And I podcasted after the Lakers game. So your boy is running on a little sleep.
Yeah. So the Thunder just went 0-2 at the first leg of this road trip in LA. Last night's game, I for some reason did not have the score pulled up. Do either of you have that score pulled
I
up?
got you.
Thank you.
No, I don't got you. Hold on a second. I need to refresh. It still says 106, 108 with 6 minutes left to go in the fourth. 128, 117.
There it is.
Los Angeles Lakers defeat the Oklahoma City Thunder.
And from what I know, so SGA struggled. Like we're seeing worst plus minus of the team.
Mm-hmm.
The knee injury clearly bothering him. I respect him playing through it. Like it was a narrative early in SGA's career that he's hurt a lot. He's sitting on purpose. The team is sitting him just to tank, et cetera, et cetera. So I get that he wants to play through games, and I'm glad that he did. But he struggled. Chet is struggling a bit also.
Yeah, that's
What
fair.
big takeaways did you guys have as far as why the Thunder lost? Is there anything you're hung up on from that game, or is it just SGA's
Just
hurt,
last
Chet's
game or the
not-
last two?
We'll go with the Clippers game for now.
Okay. A few things in the Clippers game. Number one was defense. Just they let the Clippers Clippers shot 54% from the field, 46% from three. Took 23 free throws. Got 4 more rebounds, 3 more offensive. They were tied in assists and steals. Clippers got 5 more blocks than the Thunder. Points in the paint were 40-40. The big difference was the Clippers hit 4 more threes than the Thunder. And it felt like the defense, you gave up 128 points. Felt like the defense was bad. But part of it is just like, as much as I don't want to say it, the Clippers are really good. Like the Clippers are really good. And Paul George had a hell of a night. Congratulations to him. He said both teams won the trade afterwards. I get it. You got to defend yourself.
And that dude put a sock in my mouth tonight. Great for him.
They say what you want. Like the Thunder won the trade.
They did.
Paul George is fine, but they made one Western Conference Finals appearance in 4 years on that trade. So, but anyways,
He was more than fine. Come on. He would.
no,
That second half
last
was
night he was
fantastic.
great. But I'm saying
This
the past
season, he's
4
been
years,
fantastic.
like you look, they made that trade to win the NBA title in 2019. They've made one Western Conference Finals appearance in 4 years with that duo. If you offered the Clippers a redo right now, like it's a no-brainer, right?
You would think. I don't think they do it. But
I
no,
think if
I'm
you
not
just
disagreeing
offered
with you on the trade.
Shea and Dub for PG, that's like, where do I sign before you change your mind? You don't even have to throw in the picks.
Yeah.
But anyways, ultimately what I'm getting at is it felt like the defense was bad, but I don't know how much of it was defense was bad versus the Clippers offense is just really good. And the thing from the past 2 nights for me, Taylor, maybe it's just 2 bad matchups for the Thunder, but the size really stuck out. And the Thunder play a lot bigger than they are. But I was like kind of interested in it the other day. Of the top 10 minutes getters on this Thunder team, there are only two guys that are 6'8" or taller. And that's Josh and Chet. Shea 6'6", Dub 6'6", Dort 6'4", Wiggins 6'5", Kenrich 6'5", Cason Wallace 6'4". Like they just don't have a big wing. And if the Thunder shot half as well against the Lakers as they did against the Clippers, then they're 1-1 on this trip. Like they shot horribly against the Lakers and then shot really well against the Clippers. If the Thunder hit 2 or 3 more threes in that Lakers game and don't shoot sub 30% from three when they took 49 threes and had 34 wide open threes, they win that Lakers game. And then you feel pretty fine going 1-1 in LA. But it's a combination of the bad shooting in night one and then just going up against a buzzsaw on a Sega Baba.
5 games and 7 nights.
Yeah. And JD kind of touched on it, but I mean, Shea last night, what was it? 6 of 16?
Yeah.
6 of 16. Yeah. 19 points.
And so when Shea has an off night, when Chet has an off night, like you're really kind of putting yourself behind the 8 ball there.
100%. You touched on a lot that I agree with, especially when it comes to just how good the Clippers played. I saw a lot of commentary after the game, like, well, if they don't shoot so good from 3, then the Thunder are still in this, regardless of how Shea and Chet played. Well, okay, so Paul George was fantastic. Kawhi only had 10 shot attempts. He was 6 of 10 from the floor. You had James Harden was 5 of 14. And you had Norman Powell, who's a 40% three-point shooter, 2 of 10 from the floor, 2 of 7 from 3. If you get a Norman Powell coming out, hitting his shots like he normally does, it doesn't matter if Paul George does what he does in the second half. Like, they're still going to be able to sustain that shooting. And so I think a lot of that does come down to the Thunder defense, like you mentioned, Jacob, a lot that we've been talking about here in the month of January. We're, I guess, right at 2 weeks in. The Thunder defensive rotations have been struggling. They play a very aggressive defense where they're switching, even trapping at times. We saw that last night against the Clippers. They're covering a ton of ground, and we're seeing in a more jam-packed schedule in January how that's starting to catch up to them with the tired legs and the youth. The youth being the inexperience. You always hear youth, oh, they have the young legs. Like, yeah, I totally get that. That's why Shea played last night and 2 nights ago, right? With his knee injury. But even then, inexperienced team playing that style of defense, it just, I mean, you're going to see some inefficiencies there defensively, and we're starting to see that. And not just these past 2 games, but we talked about on that road trip on the East Coast here. What was that, like a week and a half ago? It's crazy to think it's only been that. But yeah, I think the defense was a big thing there. Also, you guys mentioned Shea and Chet. I think maybe first we can just kind of dive into Shea. I was on record on the postgame podcast against the Lakers, or after the Lakers game 2 nights ago, saying that I didn't necessarily see a lot of I didn't see Shea struggles coming from his injury. No, I didn't think he was super slow in regards. I just thought the Lakers played very physical with him. To Jacob's point, they have a lot of long, lengthy defenders they could throw at him. And the biggest thing is they're packing the paint. We saw zone defense the past 2 games just absolutely kill the Thunder, even when they're hitting threes like they were last night against the Clippers. When they're packing the paint like that, that completely takes away from what Shea can do. That being said, last night, I thought he was absolutely a step slow. That first step's not nearly as quick and as explosive as it usually is, even if you don't think about Shea as an explosive player. And so I certainly could see him favoring that knee. Even on the defensive end, I even saw him standing around a lot offensively last night. I'm curious if you guys noticed that, which is very uncharacteristic.
The quick threes are the telltale sign for me.
The pull-ups and the quick threes. Yeah, it was a lot of step-back threes, trying to create creation. And then, yeah, the jacked-up threes early in the shot clock is very uncharacteristic for SGA.
There you go.
There it is. 0-3 from 3 last night, and 2 nights ago, I believe he was 1 of 6. I think that's pretty telling, and I do think he's favoring that knee.
Yeah, the one thing about SGA is that he does not settle, like really ever. And that's one thing I've noticed more, especially last night. He was doing more of that. He also doesn't get blocked that often. I would love to look those numbers up at some point, but I saw Kawhi chase him down. And it's Kawhi Leonard, obviously, but SGA has been dusting dudes who are, at this point in Kawhi's career, better than him all season on defense. And that block was indicative of kind of Shai's overall physical state right now, I think. Just a step slow. And if you're a step slow in the NBA, that's a big difference. There's also, I saw him get up from the podium after the post-game presser, like winced in pain as he got up, and he's going through it, obviously. And I do respect him playing through that. Chet is obviously it's his rookie year, missed all last season, but this is a very, very, very busy month. This is the first time he's ever played games like this for this long.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and he is playing, he plays center and he gets beat up a lot. Like he's playing against someone bigger than him most nights. So that wear and tear is probably wearing on him now.
Taking shots to the face every single game.
Literally every game. He and J-Dub just get hit in the face all the time.
Well, J-Dub passed the mantle on to Chet this year.
Yeah.
To flip the tone for a second, look at the other side of the coin.
Mm-hmm.
Dort had a great game last night. 6 of 10 from the field, 5 of 8 from 3, had 19 points, a rebound, and an assist. I thought Isaiah Joe really bounced back after going, I believe, 0 of 6 from 3 or 0 of 5 from 3 against the Lakers. He goes 5 of 6 last night, 15 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. 3 assists and 2 steals. Great night from Isaiah Joe. But I think two guys that we need to take a moment and really talk about is J-Dub and Vasa Micic, also known as Big Meech.
Also known as Vava.
I'm going to make the Big Meech stick. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on the podcast either. Jaylen Williams
needs to do some 6'9" things.
J-Dub, 25 points on 10 of 14 from the floor, 2 of 3 from 3, 3 rebounds, 7 assists. He had nearly identical numbers the night before against the Lakers. Like, I don't know, man. He is. I don't think it's a blip on the radar like a hot streak. Carrie's going ham over here in the chat right now. Meat Bill. That's incredible.
It's at the meat market.
At the Meech market.
The Meech market.
I don't think it's like a hot streak or a blip on the radar. Like, the dude is just growing at an incredibly fast rate. He's been awesome.
He feels like just a star in plain sight. That's like just volume away from actually being an all-star. And maybe I don't know if you guys feel similarly, but like the fourth quarter, it started out as like
fourth quarter dub.
Fourth quarter dub. It's a thing, obviously. We're seeing whole game dub currently, and it's I hope he always finishes these games 10 of 14, 11 of 15, something like that. In my head, I'm like, what happens if you just turn that dial up just a little more, take more shots before the second half of the latter half of the third and all the fourth? What would that look like?
I would like to see the volume increase. He is currently shooting 55% from the field, 45% from 3, 83% from the free throw line. He's 18.6 points, 4.1 rebounds, 4.4 assists, and 1 steal and half a block a game on just ridiculous efficiency.
So, Jacob, I pulled
the points have gone up 4.5. The assists have gone up by 1. Rebounds have tricked down just a hair. 3-point percentage is up 10% from 35.6 to 45%. Field goals are up 2.5%. Like, he's just leaps everywhere.
But even during this recent struggle for the Thunder, he's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
I even think back to that East Coast road trip. So that combined with Silva had, this Chet hitting a rookie wall. For all these reasons, I pulled up the last 5 games stats for every player. But just going into J-Dub here, 21.2 points per game, 60% from the floor on 14.6 shot attempts, to Jacob's point about efficiency, 50% from 3 on about 3 attempts. And like you guys mentioned, he's doing it on both ends of the floor. Often guard. I think Mark mentioned this in the post game. He's guarding oftentimes the opposing team's best wing. I won't say best player because sometimes Dort's guarding some of the guards, whatever the case may be. He's doing it on both ends. And one thing we're seeing is he's not just forcing shots. He's not just trying to get his own. He's creating so well for teammates. He's making the right read every single time, whether it's Aaron Wiggins cutting or the continued chemistry we've seen between him and Chet. I mean, he's just on a whole new level right now. And his facilitating combined with that shot making ability, him knocking down threes at a high clip, even at high efficiency, but low attempts. Like to Silva's point, I think there's way more that we could see from J-Dub, which is extremely exciting. And honestly, here over the past 2 months, I think he's been obviously the second best player behind Shea, which is crazy to think about when we've been talking so much about Chet being the second All-Star potentially.
He might get some All-Star love this year. And I think next year he is. I think if you put him on Charlotte, Washington, Detroit, maybe Brooklyn, like he's the best player on all those teams.
You named a lot of teams that passed over him in the draft.
Yeah, it's a great point.
I wanted to bring this up. A guy that I won't name because I don't like his basketball takes posted on Twitter last night about in a redraft, would Jaylen Williams go top 5? And it's like, that's the biggest no shit comment in the world. We all agree Dub goes 3rd in a redraft in his class, right?
No question about it. And we've known that for a long time. We knew that for like all of 2023.
Chet and Paulo go 1, 2 in whatever order you want. Dub is clearly 3rd over Keegan Murray, Jaden Ivey, Ben Mathurin, Shaden Sharp, etc. Right?
Easy.
Let's go back another draft class.
Well, don't forget about Walker Kessler.
Oh, shut up. 2021. Let me read you guys some of the big names from 2021.
This is
Cade
great.
Cunningham, Jalen Green, Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes, Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner. We got Josh Primo in that draft. Şengün, Trey Murphy III. Those are the real big ones. If you put Dub in that draft, where does he go?
Top 5. I'd take him above. Who'd you say the 5th pick was?
Can you rename them? We'll just say if we'd rather have them or Dub.
Sure. Cade Cunningham.
It's almost okay. Detroit is just like
at the time
the worst possible. I
don't think it's a question.
I'd probably take Dub.
I don't think it's a question right now.
Okay,
I would too.
Yeah.
It's Dub.
Yeah.
Jalen Green.
Dub.
Dub, not a question.
Not a question.
Evan Mobley.
I'm taking
That
Dub,
one's-
I think.
Yeah.
I think
I
I'm
was gonna say
taking
that one's
Dub.
interesting, but I'm taking Dub.
Scotty Barnes.
I
I'd
take
probably
Scotty.
take Scotty.
Scotty. Suggs.
Take Dub.
Dub, easy. Franz Wagner.
That
It's
one's interesting.
interesting.
That one's interesting. Kind of a toss-up.
Yeah.
Alperen Şengün.
I prefer the more modern style of
Turkey
player.
Jesus.
As much as we like poke fun, Şengün is obviously like really good, but I prefer the J-Dub archetype of player.
Şengün can play one position.
Correct.
Trey Murphy III.
Dub. And I love Trey Murphy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
He's
it's
not
Dub.
as versatile.
Yeah.
It's Dub. What about if we go back another draft? Ant Edwards.
And
I'll take it.
Take Ant. LaMelo Ball.
I still probably take LaMelo if I'm starting a franchise, but that's an interesting one.
Talent alone, it's LaMelo probably, but if you include how he I don't know.
How he carries himself, defense, maturity, locker
Correct.
room,
Correct. The intangibles, I'm taking Dub in that situation.
brain cell count.
Right.
I'm going Dub. God, this draft was bad. Denny Avdia, you obviously take Denny.
The Diddy
Devin-
lover.
Devin Vassell,
Dub.
Yeah, easy.
Tyrese Halliburton,
Oh, take it,
Tyrese.
Tyrese Maxey.
Oh,
That's
I
interesting.
feel like you'd have to say Maxey right now.
Yeah, Desmond Bain.
Dub.
Dub.
He's got T-Rex arms.
If you do a redraft and you clump not 2023 with Wemby, but you do the class after Dub's class and the 2 classes before, and you put all those players in one pool, I think Dub still goes top 10.
Oh yeah, easy. I was going to
Pretty
say
easily.
you might take him 5th or 6th
Like
based off the exercise.
we said you would take Ant, you would take Halliburton, you would take Tyrese Maxey,
It's people that are about to be first-time All-Stars that are
you would take Scotty Barnes, You would take maybe Franz Wagner. That's 5.
Yeah.
And you would take Chet and Paulo. So that puts Dub at 8 if you clumped 3 draft classes together.
So 7 or 8. Yeah.
That's insane.
With the 12th pick.
I wanted to do that for perspective. I feel like some people have started the conversation of like, oh, is Dub better than this guy? Is Dub better than that? And again, this is like playing next to Shea and Chet. What happens if he's on Detroit? What happens if he's in Washington playing the Jordan Poole role as far as like usage?
Be insane.
But we're also
talking about battle of the brain cells.
I mean, imagine Cade in OKC or LaMelo in OKC.
Yeah.
Like, that's why landing spots is so important. But
For sure.
all that being said, I think if you compare them
And
with
Dub
the
is older.
equal opportunities,
Dub spent more time in college.
Sure. But still, I think if you put all of them in the same development opportunity that Dub's had, I still would feel very good about where we landed with Dub.
Totally agree. Sean in the chat brings up a point that I was trying to get to before I went down the Dub rabbit hole. I think the other big takeaway. No. I think the other big takeaway is Vasa. In 11 minutes last night, Vasa was a team high +8, 7 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists, 3 of 4 from the field. Am I wrong? Did he take his first free throw attempt of the year last night?
That
I
feels
have no idea there.
That feels accurate. I can try and find that out actually.
I don't know if he shot a free throw before last night. I'm trying to see here. Nope, free throws, he's 77.8%, so he shot some.
Okay.
Regular season totals, free throws, he's 7 of 9.
There you go. Okay. So there's some
not
garbage
much.
time free throws in there. That makes sense. Vasa's been incredible. Like looking at his past
56 assists to 13
Insane.
turnovers on the season.
That's
pretty
insane.
good.
That's an insane number.
And we're starting to see him get to his spots as well and be more aggressive scoring. Very much felt like I know a lot of people, including us, including myself, talked about him trying to adjust to the pace of the NBA. And sure, that's a lot of it. But I think more even than that, it's just him trying to find his role within the team, not trying to step on toes. We've heard some Thunder players talk about that this season, last season, and looking for teammates, which we know he's incredible at. But what we're seeing here recently during this recent stretch is he's looking for his shot as well. He's able to get to those spots. He's running in transition and still making the right reads, kind of similar to what we talked about with J-Dub, getting more comfortable in that facilitator role with that second unit as well when Shea's off the court. Vasa's been incredible. The defense obviously still leaves a lot to be desired, although I thought it was better. Again, very, very small sample size these last 2 games. It wasn't quite as glaring. But that being said, I mean, I think Vasa is obviously has cemented himself a role within the second unit, and is someone we're going to see. I don't want to say a lot more of, but we're going to see more of with this bench unit moving forward into past the trade deadline and into the playoffs potentially.
I was noted Micic hater in the offseason. I did not understand the acquisition. I thought he'd be taking minutes away from a Case and Wallace. Turns out you can play them both a lot. And it turns out that Micic is like very valuable to bench production and helping J-Dub kind of activate more of his own playmaking stuff in lineups with him. And I really, really like his presence on the team these days.
Some of the stuff, like the passing obviously pops hard, right? Like you see, I've joked, like he doesn't do look passes. He only does no look passes. Yeah. The driving to the basket has been very impressive to me. He's got like this really good deceleration move where he gets to the basket and slows down and doesn't really lay it up, but almost like jump shoots it from like 2 feet and kind of it's a little unorthodox. It gets guys kind of off their rhythm. He's not athletic, like at all, like ultimate old man game, right? But he uses like angles and just these different moves to get where he wants to get to on the floor. And playing with that bench unit with guys who cut like they do, I think is such a big thing for him. I wanted to read you guys some stats real quick. So since December 29th, that was let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games ago. Since December 29th, he has had 2 DNPs, one at Atlanta, one at Washington. He has played 3, 4, that's 9 games since then. His plus minus in each of those games, +4, +6, +4, +1, +16, +8, 0, +4, +8. Notice anything there, JD?
He's getting better.
No, yeah, no minuses, right? You also look at it, the 3-point percentage in those games. 0 of 3, 0 of 0, 1 of 4, 0 of 1, 0 of 0, 0 of 0. And then the last 3. 1 of 2, 2 and 2, 0 of 1. The missing piece is the jumper. And we know in Europe he could shoot the shit out of the basketball. If the jumper comes around and he becomes like a threat coming off the screen and pulling up for 3, or a catch and shoot type of guy off a dub drive or off a Chet drive, you got a real problem on your hand. Like, it's taken a while. We talked about maybe in January he starts to get the training wheels taken off a little bit. He's getting there, guys. And it's been pretty impressive. And it's thanks to that second unit that they even had a chance to win that game last night. With about 3.5 minutes to go, a dub 3 puts them up by 1. They had a chance to win it. And it's thanks to that bench unit, obviously spearheaded by J-Dub. But Vasa has been really good in his minutes, and I think we're going to see those minutes continue to climb. When you look at minutes over that stretch since December 29th, 13:44, 12:23, 10:45, 12:16, 14:33. He only played 9 minutes against Portland because they pulled out Joe from section 303 to play against Portland because that was more of a competition. 11:16, 15:04, and 11:18. The one thing we haven't seen yet, and I'm afraid because I think it's coming, is as you play him more minutes, I think teams are really going to target him defensively. I think they're going to see the weak link. They're going to go after him.
Not a lot of film on Micic yet.
Yeah, Taylor, you watched the game last night. He had a fast break move where he was on the left side of the court, dribbling up and hit Westbrook with like this pass fake and then brought it back around and finished lefty and one. And I was like, okay, I didn't know he had the sauce, but he's got the sauce.
Especially, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like when he's being more aggressive, looking for his shot, but within the flow of the offense. Very similar to what we talked about when Mark was talking about Dub post game. I love what you mentioned about the shooting, Jacob. Like, I think there's obviously some more things that the Thunder could potentially run for him. But one thing I think we just need to continue to keep an eye on, or something I'm thinking about, is he is playing with Dub in that second unit. And when you have Dub primarily being the facilitator and runner of the offense, like I'm not sure you're going to be running a ton of things from Micic, but I think that's an interesting wrinkle that they could continue to sprinkle in as teams start to adjust, not just to Micic, but also to this Thunder bench unit. Obviously, and again, I wish I had like the per 100 numbers pulled up, or the plus minus whenever that second unit is playing Josh and Dub together rather than Dub and Micic, because it seems to flow much better recently when we've seen Dub and Micic together running the offense, that second unit. Regardless, I don't expect him to really have much of a bigger role, I don't think, but just seeing him get more and more comfortable is where we maybe see some of those things like the shot improve and him getting more more opportunities to be able to score.
Definitely. And again, like I mentioned, that unit that he runs with, to have a guy that is always looking to make the pass, playing in a lineup that regularly features J-Dub, Aaron Wiggins, Kenrich Williams, Chet
Don't know
Holmgren,
if I'd say
Payson Wallace
regularly on Aaron Wiggins, but I'd like to see more Wiggins.
Like, I'm sure they've shared more minutes than like that. They've been tethered together a lot. But those types of players who cut really hard, it's like a dream scenario for that guy. Absolute dream scenario for that guy. He's been really good.
Yeah, Mark's putting him in the right positions also. It's probably another good point to bring up.
I can't believe
I
it,
know
but
we're
I
at
also
40 minutes. I know we probably need to move on from this game.
we'll take a break. I can't believe Micic is a real thing, but I also can believe it.
Hey, Kaysen had a really good stretch here also. The Thunder bench has
He did.
been much better these past two. Well, I say past two games, primarily last night, but the past two games seems like it's coming around a little bit in comparison to the recent stretch the Thunder have had.
We're going to take our first break at roughly 40 minutes, and we're going to predict the rest of January, kind of estimate where the Thunder are going to end up on this packed section of their schedule, and then talk a little bit about trades. So be right back. Okay, we're back from the break. So let's do some predictions going through the month really quickly. 0-2 on this road trip so far. I wanted to ask, can they go 2-2 on this road trip? Next games being at Utah and then at the T-Wolves.
I think it's possible for sure. I mean, I was watching before we got on the pod tonight, and with 3 minutes to go, Detroit had Minnesota at like a 5-point game. Like, Minnesota has not been great recently. They've really struggled. Obviously, the Thunder with Shea and the potential knee injury is an issue. But I think for sure they could still go 2-2. They could also go 0-4. Utah has been incredibly hot. Minnesota still has the best record in the West. That's possible as well. But even if they go 0-4, I'm not going to say, expectations have changed. But there's a reality where they could win the next 2 in a row.
You bring up something there with the Timberwolves that I find interesting. It was Matt Moore at HP Basketball tweeted out like a chart. I'm obviously not going to go through every little aspect of the chart, but essentially he's saying that if there feels like there's more blowouts in the month of January, there is. The average margin of victory in January is up almost 3 points over the average since 2000. And I think what we're seeing is not just the Thunder having a jam-packed schedule, it's the league as a whole right now, catching up on games. And we're seeing some of those tired legs show themselves across the entirety of the league. So I think there absolutely is a chance they could go 2-0. That being said, if Shea's still nursing a knee injury, I mean, I think the Thunder can beat teams like when they played like they did last night with like a 50%, 75% Shea. But like going 2-0 on that stretch against one really red hot team and the other being the best team in the West so far this season, it's going to be a little tough. So I think for that reason, if we're jumping into predictions, I'm going with a win against the Jazz, mainly because I predicted that with my money ball for this week. And then I'm going to go with a loss against the Wolves on the last game on this recent road trip.
Yeah, if we're predicting, I'm going 1-1 over the next 2 as well.
All right, let's see if I can keep track of this. So that would make them 3-2 after the Jazz, 3-3 if they lose to the Wolves.
What do you got, Silva?
I feel similarly. I think a win against the Jazz, loss against the Wolves. They'll end up.
Are you doing schedule in January?
Let's do schedule in January. We'll see what their record is in the month of January.
Okay, perfect.
Because it's packed and a lot of it's on the road. So after the Wolves game in this fake scenario, they're 3-3. They then play the Blazers at home. I figured we should make that a win. Probably not going to be by 60 points again, but
70.
Yeah. Then it's at Spurs.
Win.
Okay.
National TV game. I like it.
Ooh.
Redemption.
5-3. At Pels. Is that the Friday game being televised for all?
Yes, because Spurs is on Wednesday. So that would, and it's not a back-to-back. So yeah, Pels would be Friday. Is it also national TV? Is that what you were hinting at, Silva?
I don't know. It's one of the ones that's going to be advertised like on the local stations, I thought.
Oh yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, the Friday. Yeah. No, you're correct there. You are correct.
I'm the optimist. Give me a win.
I'm going with an L there. But again, that makes it complicated when we're adding up.
That's okay. I'll keep track of the difference. Taylor's got one more L than I do.
Cool. Okay. Then it's at Pistons.
W.
Yeah, easy.
Okay. And then it's Wolves at home.
Going with the W. Think this is when they get the revenge for the road game coming up here this week.
I'm cool with that.
Then it's the Nuggets at home.
Loss.
That's some quality wins. Think they're due for a loss there.
So I think this exercise pretty quickly shows that although they're 0-2 on this road trip throughout the rest of January, they're 5-4 in January so far, just so we know. Throughout the rest of January, through a fairly optimistic lens, 8-4 is the record we ended up with after this.
And I think
that would be for all of January.
That's just this recent stretch.
Just the rest of the stretch.
Silva, if you can add up the month in January really quick, I'll just touch on Shea. Yeah, I think even if Shea's nursing a knee injury through here, maybe we don't even see him for a couple of these games. I'm still only taking off 2 wins at most. So I'd put them at 6 and 6.
Yeah, they could definitely slip up somewhere.
Yep.
Wouldn't be surprising at all. Maybe they lose that New Orleans game, and maybe they lose that Minnesota game and just beat the bad teams.
If you go 500 during that brutal stretch, I think that's pretty promising, especially given Shea's potential injury.
Not as bad as it may feel right now after 2 straight losses. The Lakers, I'm convinced, have a dartboard that is just the faces of Thunder players in the locker room that they throw darts at.
No crap, dude.
They play them like it's
crazy.
The last game they'll ever play. So fun exercise. I think although this schedule is jam-packed, there's a lot of winnable games, especially in the middle of it. Blazers, Spurs, Pistons, some home games against the good teams. So it'll be fine, I think. Let's go. Anything else on the month of January? Going to take another break and then talk through trades.
Only other thing I was going to say is one thing I've been thinking about through this 2-game stretch that we broke down earlier. Even if Shea isn't 100% moving forward, or even if he takes a game or 2 off here during this stretch that we just predicted, I think the Thunder could still survive that with more J-Dub. And I'm really excited to see what that would look like in the case that Shea's not able to go. Obviously, I'm rooting for Shea to be able to play and be healthy during that stretch. But I really excited to see what Dub could do, kind of being the featured guy.
If the schedule breaks the way we just predicted, at the end of the month of January, the Thunder would be 35-15.
Crazy.
Feels pretty good.
We put it in our Slack, the 30th win they got last year was, February something?
March
something?
It was in March. Goodness. Yeah, that was me. They got win number 30 in March last year. They could get win number 30 in the next 7 days. They only need 3 more to get there. And you also got to consider that last season started a week and a half earlier than this season did because of FIBA.
Pretty insane. Pretty insane. Wow. Yeah, let's go on a break real quick, and we're going to talk through some trades.
Let's do it.
Okay. We're going to talk through some trades. We talked about how the Thunder are maybe looking for some more size in some certain matchups, especially against teams like the Lakers and the Clippers. Timberwolves are going to be another option there. The Nuggets, of course. So we have some ideas. Feel free. I put a list in our outline. You guys feel free to throw anything out. Just going to brainstorm. I wanted to ask, as I'm pulling up some pictures we're going to be using for this exercise, who would you be willing to give up if the Thunder were to make a trade for? I mean, do we all agree that a backup big is something we can be aligned on?
A lot of talk about that after these last 2 games. And I think Jacob mentioned that earlier in the podcast. He was talking about the physicality, getting out-bodied, out-bullied here the last 2 games. I think that's certainly something the Thunder will be interested in.
Yeah, I like backup big. And to me, also just like a big wing. I mentioned there's only 2 guys in the 10-man that are 6'8" or taller. I worry that when people think backup big, the Thunder aren't going to trade for somebody that doesn't fit what they're trying to build.
Correct.
Right. And so I don't see them making like a trade for a tradition. Andre Drummond ain't going to be that guy.
Let's just say it at the same time.
Pinky man gift right there.
Andre Drummond ain't that guy, pal. Like, they're not going to put him on this team. They're not going to go get a JaVale McGee type guy, So to me, like, backup big makes sense. But if they ended up getting a 6'8", 6'9" wing, like, I'm almost more interested in that.
We can run through some names now. I would like to go. We have a couple of pictures queued up that are just fun to talk about involving some of these names. So let's just start with a couple of Pacers. How many
made a
centers,
big trade today?
How many centers do the Pacers have?
Yeah, the Pacers have a lot of really big forward / centers. And now that you didn't trade any of them and brought in Pascal, who's going to play 35 minutes a night, like when I think of the Pacers, Miles Turner is going to play the 5.
Right.
Pascal's playing the 4, and he's playing 35 minutes a night. This offseason, you traded for Obi Toppin. I assume you still want to play him. I don't know how many minutes he's playing. And then you have a whole lot of other guys.
Jarris Walker is a promising rookie.
Jarris Walker's been playing G League minutes.
But they're not wanting to trade him, apparently.
Yeah, they're not going to trade him, dude.
I agree. I'm all in.
Bring him
Love
over.
Jarris. I think he'll be fantastic for the Pacers moving forward. I agree.
Okay, so give us some names, JD.
Let's talk about a guy named Isaiah Jackson, who I'm not actually all that passionate about as a trade prospect. I'm more passionate about this photo that I found on Twitter as Jacob and I were discussing this earlier. This is a photo of Isaiah Jackson, and this is what I know him from.
Yeah, for the listeners who are not watching the stream, JD, can you be the what do you call it? The
narrator.
On like, is it the alternate text? What is it?
Like an interpreter, like a.
Oh no, I know what you're talking about. You have closed captions and you have like the description captions.
The descriptive caption. What is that called? It's like for like people with eyesight issues for accessibility.
Yeah,
I don't know what the word is. Anyways,
so
JD,
walk us through the
image.
photo.
This is a photo of Isaiah Jackson, center for the Indiana Pacers, holding up a little chalkboard, little sign. It's an "About Me" sign. I'll just read through some of these boxes. It's
alt text is what it is.
Yes.
There
it says
go.
I am, and he's handwritten these things, to be clear. So it says, I am Isaiah Jackson. My favorite color, it's red. My birthday, he listed. My best friends were, my brother was. My favorite song, rap. My hobbies are fishing and video games. Favorite food, chicken with no C, just CHIKEN. My favorite movie, Hulk. No clarification on which one. You got to point that out.
None of them are good, so that's a bad sign.
And then at the very bottom, it says, when I grow up, I want to be pro fisher or video game player. Wants to be a fishing magician.
He's a PG protege. Fish magician.
There's a long backstory behind the fish magician. Shout out Boomhauer from King of the Hill.
Yeah.
Dang old fish magician, man. A lot of time on Isaiah Jackson to say he's not a fit. They're not trading for him.
Yeah.
What about this guy?
Oh, there he is. Walk us through
Jaylen
this one,
Smith,
Silva.
another big from Indiana. I'll talk us through this one. If you are not looking at this photo, Jaylen Smith looks like a thick boy with some glasses. Does not look like a basketball player except for the jersey that he is wearing. If you threw a t-shirt on him, he looks like he's about to blue eyes, white eyes, blue dragon. I don't know what it is on me at the local card game store.
Yeah, you can find him at a Game HQ for sure.
You mentioned it in our Slack, Jacob, but yeah, absolutely looks like somebody who would be holding a calculator and a pencil.
Hey, we have some nerdy sounders. What type of thing would this guy say, JD?
Oh, the Nick one. Play the Nick one.
So here's the issue. I'm using the monitor I use for the sounders to show this photo. So I can
recreate it if you guys want.
I can.
I think JD's got it.
Plus minus is basically a team stat.
It's a good one.
It's a very good one. What are the other ones we have?
We got the multiverse, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
In the
Sorry,
multiverse.
I talked over it.
Beautiful.
I talked over it again.
Bucks.
I don't think he's saying that one. Jaylen Smith is interesting. Former number 10 overall pick, taken way too high by the Suns. Already moved once. Owed like $5 million this year, $5.5 million next year on a player option. So he might just walk. If you could do like Trey Mann in a couple seconds,
take a flyer.
Just take a chance. He's like 6'8", like 230, 6'9", 230, something like that. He's an interesting one.
That's the archetype you want, at least from a body type.
Yeah.
Top 10 pick. He was picked 10th by the Phoenix Suns, who are notoriously awful at drafting.
Taylor does a good job of listening while we talk on the podcast, huh, JD?
I don't listen. I was looking up things. But hey, this is from December 28th, so this has been updated. But shooting 73% from the floor and 63% from three this season.
Nice.
Okay.
So he's a possibility. Obviously, Jarris Walker is the dream that's not happening.
I wish it would, though.
I wish it would too.
Some other names we can cycle through. Are you guys in on Isaiah Stewart at all?
Out.
I'm kind of interested.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
It was like
Interesting.
if it was Trey Man in a couple of seconds.
I don't think he fits what they're building at all.
Carrie from our chat brings up Jared Vanderbilt. I like that a lot. I don't know if the Lakers would.
The Lakers
awesome.
want to win now move.
Right.
Yeah, the Lakers would want.
They don't want picks.
No.
And I don't think
I wasn't on Vanderbilt during last trade deadline. I don't know if you guys remember that, but Vandy was my guy last year.
Yeah. I'd be all about it. But again, it's just extremely unrealistic, and I don't see the Thunder giving up Josh Giddey for Vanderbilt, and I don't see how you get a deal done otherwise.
Yep. Go ahead, JD.
Yeah, Big Mike from our chat brings up a name that was involved in the Pascal Siakam trade, Bruce Brown. He's actually a Toronto Raptor now. He has 1 year left on his deal.
Culturally, style of play, vet leadership, he fits like a glove. Problem is, you don't need another 6'4" guy. You already got Dub and Wiggins and Dort and Kaysen and Vasa and Shea. You need somebody bigger.
Yeah, my comment on Bruce Brown, as soon as I saw some of that, like after the trade, was that we already have Bruce Brown at home. And I understand that he has the playoff experience, a little more experience in general. But I'd rather, I don't think trading for him. Yeah, right. It is worth, not playing Aaron Wiggins or Kenrich Williams or whoever it may be. I agree.
Yeah, kind of out. Marvin Bagley's too chaotic, right? Like that
0% chance.
Okay.
No.
Daniel Gafford.
They would play me at the 5 before they would play him.
Daniel Gafford, that's like Nick's guy, I think. I
Yeah.
don't know anything about him.
He's interesting.
If it's paired with Denny, sure, but I don't think Daniel Gafford's very good.
And again, I don't think he really fits this team.
Exactly.
They aren't just going to trade for a backup big to.
They're not trading for a guy that's going to play drop coverage and everything, can only play one position, can't move his feet.
Yep.
He's a lob-threatening rebounder.
Set a screen and run to the rim.
Exactly.
Just doesn't fit.
Sean in our chat brings up a common name you hear with the Thunder, Dorian Finney-Smith. Mark knows him from his time at Florida. My thing with Dorian Finney-Smith is that a lot of teams probably want him. This is not the guys we talked about thus far are like buy low outside of Bruce Brown, buy low candidates. That is not what DFS is. I assume multiple people will be trying to bid for this guy, and it could get pricey.
If you listen to other podcasts, Lakers are interested. Clippers are interested. Philly is interested. The Bucks are interested. The Dallas Mavericks are interested.
Again?
As a former social studies teacher, let me give you a quick lesson in economics. We got this thing called supply and demand, folks. And when the demand is very high, the price goes up. Somebody is going to pay the Nets so much more for Dorian Finney-Smith than they need to. Does he fit OKC? On a percentage scale, 78% fit, 79% fit.
Yeah,
he's 32. Good contract,
which is pretty crazy. I didn't know that.
He would be the oldest player on the team.
How long has he been in the league?
That's a good question. I don't know. My take has been for what it's going to cost you to get him, which at this rate is going to be like decent salary matching that probably expires soon. So like for the Thunder, it could be like Davis Bertans.
He's 30.
God,
30.
Bertans.
And 2 good firsts. I think it's what it's going to cost.
Yeah.
I'm throwing in another middling pick and a guy and getting Cam Johnson instead. If that's available.
And we can talk about the Brooklyn Wings now because Cam is the one I'd be most interested in, I think.
100%. Assuming McHale is not available.
Right.
If McHale was available, he's 27, but I'd be about ready to cash in.
Yeah, 27 is just old as dirt.
I think he would fit like a freaking glove. Maybe another hot take based on like Thunder fans online, and I think, again, circling back to the beginning of the pod, we kind of live in a echo chamber, and when one person says something, we all gravitate towards it. Same argument with Bruce Brown. Royce O'Neal's like 6'4".
Really?
I think
he's
he's
like
expiring.
6'7" in my head.
Nope, he's 6'4".
small.
He's Casey
Very
Wallace.
similar to Bruce Brown that we
insane.
talked
I'm out.
about.
I'm out.
I agree completely. And I agree with the
Stylistically,
DFS
does he
take.
fit? Yes. They don't need another 6'4" guy. I don't give a shit if he plays bigger than he is. That doesn't matter when you actually need the size.
Right. And it takes
Cam
two to
Johnson's
tango in these
6'8".
trades. Right? Like, I mean, you can throw out a ridiculous offer that still might not get you Mikal because some of these front offices are stubborn and they don't want to go full rebuild. Like Cam Johnson and Mikal, very likely neither of them are available.
If it cost you the 2026 Clippers pick, which is a highly, highly sought after asset, one of the other, if you put, I'm sure the Thunder have a ranking of most valued picks. If you had to take 2 picks from the S tier and Cason Wallace and then a Bertans to match, would you do that for Cam Johnson?
No way. I thought you were going to say Mikal, and I was like, okay, maybe.
I think Mikal would take those 2 picks, Cason and probably Josh.
Right.
To get a conversation started.
Agreed. But no, I'm not doing that for Cam at all. You have players on this team who, the thing is, you have to think about when these players are on the team, how much higher do they raise the ceiling? And Cam Johnson doesn't do that.
Cam has 4 years left on his deal? Isaiah Joe has 1. How close is Isaiah Joe's next contract going to be to Cam Johnson's? What does Isaiah make now? Do we know that off the top of our head? Or what is Cam?
Very little.
Yeah. Sorry. Isaiah makes very little. Cam Johnson,
Isaiah Joe makes $2 million a year.
And he's under contract next year on a team option.
Yeah.
And then he's unrestricted. Meanwhile, Cam this year, and then 1, 2, 3 more years after that. So you have through the end of 2027. Next year he makes 22, and then 20, and then 22.
That's a good contract.
I was going to say 20 for Isaiah Joe.
I think with the upcoming TV deal and the salary cap increase, Joe is going to be close to that. You might get priced out.
And Cam is bigger.
Cam is 6'8". He is much older. I think Cam is 27 right now. Cam will be 30 at the end of that contract.
Yeah.
But if I can get Cam for 3 more years, and then if I get priced out of Isaiah Joe, I get priced out of Isaiah Joe. I think that makes a ton of sense. Like a ton of sense.
Some of the best picks the Thunder currently possess, though.
Can't pick them all.
I mean, I get it. Like,
what if it was the best pick in 2024?
I do that because the 24 draft is not my favorite.
So it's whichever pick is going to be the best in 24. And that Miami protected pick that they have. And Cason and
Josh.
No, not Josh. Well, shit, you could do Josh. I don't think you would, though. Cason and then Bertans to match the contracts.
I'd do that. But when you were talking about 26 first from the Clippers is where I got a little hesitant.
That's fair. It's very fair. What if it was the 26 first,
sad.
but you protected it like top 3?
Yeah.
I don't think that 26 pick is going to be top 3.
What if you gave them 20 second rounders?
No, that I would do. The currency of the NBA.
You can get 4 Jay Crowders.
I was looking up his 3-point percentage this year. Cam Johnson, 39.4% from 3 on 6.4 attempts. Pretty damn good.
Pretty damn good.
What's Isaiah Joe? What you guys
He
talk?
wouldn't start. right?
He'd play off the
Oh.
bench unless you traded Josh,
Let's
which
trade
I don't
Josh.
think they're doing.
He'd close games.
A lot of people in the comments commenting on that Isaiah Joe contract. It's insane. Like, to get that value for $2 million is insane. He's going to be highly sought after.
He's going to make more than Lou Dort. We can all agree with that.
Yes.
Lou Dort's average salary is 16.5.
Especially when you consider the salary cap spike.
Right.
So Isaiah Joe.
I don't know what the extension rules are with him. If they can extend him this summer, I don't know what that looks like.
Isaiah Joe is currently 42% from 3 on 5 attempts per game. Like, that's.
And if you trade him for
unreal.
Cam, you have them both next year.
True.
Yeah.
Can you imagine putting those two next to Chet, Dub, and Shea? What do you do?
Crazy.
Cry. Sean in
try
our
and
chat
outscore him.
says,
That's about it.
Cam Johnson or DeAndre Hunter. I think DeAndre Hunter's contract is going to be toxic soon, actually.
DeAndre Hunter can't stay healthy. It's kind of not good.
He makes 20 mil this year, 21, 23, 24 in subsequent years, and he's always hurt, and he's not as good as
I take
Cam
Cam.
Johnson.
It's not a question. Silva, who else do you have on your list?
I
ranted on Cam. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, that's the one.
Cam is at the top of my list.
Agreed.
I agree.
If
that
he's
is
available.
such a glaring, like, he fits. Yeah. We can rapid fire because we're over an hour now. We can rapid fire through some of these. Alex Caruso, it's kind of not a position of need really at this point, even though he is good.
Right. But I'm
Wendell
out.
Carter,
He's interesting. Honestly, I like him more than
Kinda
Jalen
in.
Smith.
Yeah.
I hope the Thunder check out the medical situation first because it feels like he's always hurt also. But
Or do you get him on a discount for that very same reason?
true.
He's also playing behind Goga now. So
really?
Yeah,
Coming back from injury.
He's healthy,
Yep.
and Goga Batadze is someone
So I also
called him. Orlando folks are now calling him Gogurt and
I don't
saying
like
he
that.
slurps up the rebounds.
No, I don't like that. That's worse than Poku Nectar.
Totally out. Big fan of Wendell Carter. I think
He's
that'd
awesome.
be fun.
He feels like cerebral enough to play for the Thunder.
Curious his contract. So he's in the second year of a 4-year, $50 million contract. It's pretty good value too.
Does he
So you'd be
shoot?
paying him 11, basically 12 mil next season, and then about 11 mil.
That's not bad
It's
at all. That's a
not
lot
at
cheaper
all
than I
bad.
thought.
Yep.
He shoots like 3 threes a game.
He ain't bad.
Didn't know that.
I'd like that.
Hey, keep pumping up Goga's value so they can ship on over Wendell.
Give me some Gogurt.
Give me How quickly would a shirt be printed from the uncontested presses of that? I also had Goga on the list because I assumed Wendell would come back and supplant him in that role, and surely he will at some point. Right?
Maybe.
I don't know. They really like Goga starting. Like
boy.
Wendell just might be a bench player now.
That's insane. We have Onyeka Okongwu, probably
That'd be awesome. But
I
yeah,
love it, but I think Atlanta's going to trade Clint and start Onyeka.
exactly what I was going to say. Agreed.
And I'm not.
I'm out on Clint.
Okay. Yeah.
Jacob and I are on the same page here.
I guess the last one that I have. Oh boy! Before I say that, we got
Here it
Jacob's
is.
old former
Jacob's
love,
favorite.
Zach Collins.
I love
Former
me some
lover.
Zach Collins. I believe since he signed an extension this year, he is not trade eligible until the offseason.
True.
Mm.
Good point.
What about Nick Claxton? I'm kind of out on that.
Agreed.
Oh, interesting. I'm a little more in. I've dipped my toe in the forbidden juice here. Of
Oh God!
what? Hey, here's the problem. You got to pay him this summer.
Right.
He doesn't.
He's not gonna
really
start for you.
fit. He's not going to start, but he could play off the bench. He could back up Chet.
What do you
He's
want
got
to
the
do? That?
backup?
Yeah, that's what I was going to
Sharp.
say.
I don't know how much he's going to cost. The Thunder were interested in him in that draft.
They
So
were.
that's kind of interesting. Yeah, there was a lot of smoke around Thunder and Claxton. Kind of interesting. What if you could get Claxton and Cam?
Oh, gosh. I mean, that means you're giving up Giddey,
I think you probably trade Giddey in that deal.
probably Giddey Kaysen. And
Kaysen goes in
Pitts.
that.
I don't know if you. Oh man.
I mean, that's what it takes. I'm not saying you do it.
Giddey, Oos, and 3 picks.
I don't know. I don't think that gets it done. It's Sean Marks.
I don't really
He's
really
made
like
bad
that.
decisions before.
That's
He's
not
also
the,
a stubborn, you know what?
That's not the move I want to make if I'm giving up Giddey, Oos, and 3 picks or whatever
Agreed.
that package was.
Yeah. That's why I think the Thunder are going to hold on. I mean, they'll maybe do something small, but they're going to get to a playoff series. Hopefully 2 of them, maybe more. We'll see. Reevaluate. And I fully expect some moves to happen this offseason.
And
They just
Nets
need
to do
size.
something.
They need size that fits what they're trying to build.
Exactly. Which is hard to find.
Yeah, and that really limits the market, and
Might
they'll
be
be
in the
paid
draft.
with what they're doing.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting.
I assume
A little over 2 weeks away from deadline day.
that'll be fun.
February 8th, I believe.
2 Tuesdays away.
That'll be very fun.
I thought it was a Thursday.
Nope, it's a Tuesday, I believe.
Maybe Tuesday.
Hoping it was a Thursday.
If you guys had to place a bet, let's bet $1 million that none of us have. Will they or won't they make a deal of some kind?
They'll make a trade.
Yeah, they'll make a trade.
And will it be for a
Okay.
big?
Sure.
That's not- I think it'll be very big.
If I have to bet, they're not trading a first and they're not trading a rotation piece.
What about a big person?
Yeah,
Fair.
Okay.
it might be like the Baisley for Sarich
Someone
type of deal.
with some girth.
They might trade some seconds. They might trade some rotation pieces. Get Trey Mann to a new home. Get Poku to a new home. Get off the Bertans deal,
Poku.
something like that.
Agreed.
Let's bring Darius Baisley back. All right. Thank you for listening, everybody. Thanks for joining us in the live stream, as you always do. We have a lot of fun on YouTube. Jacob's having a lot of fun on YouTube tonight.
I love YouTube.
Thank you, fellas, for joining me. We'll be back when, Jacob?
Tomorrow,
Against the Jazz.
after the Thunder take on
Justin,
the
I
Jazz.
think.
Our guy Justin has that post game. He's got a few sick children though, so he might not have that post game. We will see.
Yeah.
We can cover. One of
Yeah,
us will
we'll figure it out.
get it.
And after that, our Sunday show as usual. So thank you guys again for listening. We will see you then. Adios and Thunder up.